What if I told you that everything you thought you knew about the Iraqi dinar could be completely shaken by a December 1st update that government insiders claim is unlike anything Iraq has released in over a decade? Before we dive into this shocking shift, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe because today's report contains new details that most investors still don't know, and the faster you get this information, the better prepared you'll be when this unexpected currency transition begins unfolding. Now, with that said, let's get into the reality behind Iraq's newly confirmed currency system update and why global analysts are calling it one of the most strategic monetary moves the country has attempted in years. Over the past several weeks, discussions about the Iraqi dinar revaluation have intensified, not because of rumors or recycled speculation, but because top economic advisors, banking officials, and parliamentary finance members have begun synchronizing their statements in a way that signals a coordinated policy shift. These aren't random comments anymore. They form a pattern pointing toward Iraq positioning itself for a controlled, modernized, and internationally integrated currency environment. According to multiple insider briefings, Iraq's central bank has been testing internal mechanisms for the new digital settlement system that aims to eliminate parallel market manipulation, stabilize supply-demand pressure, and bring the dinar closer to fair market valuation. This is the first time Iraq has publicly acknowledged the depth of these changes, and the timing, right at the doorstep of December, is raising eyebrows worldwide. Investors who have followed Iraq for years understand that any currency reform must go through several layers of approval: government policy boards, central bank governance, parliamentary oversight, and cross-border regulatory alignments. The fact that all these institutions appear aligned suggests that Iraq is preparing not just a technical adjustment, but a foundational structural reform to how its currency operates internally and externally. This is further supported by new government directives requiring banks to modernize compliance, adopt anti-corruption monitoring tools, and integrate with international financial networks that Iraq has previously struggled to access. A major indicator comes from the government's renewed determination to curb dollar dependency, something Iraq has long said it wanted but rarely acted on with this level of urgency. The new currency system, scheduled for phased implementation beginning December 1st, directly targets the black market spread that has created artificial pressure on the IQD. By reducing illegal arbitrage opportunities, increasing real-time transparency, and regulating dollar outflows, Iraq is creating conditions that could eventually support a revalued dinar, though not overnight, and not through any sudden overnight global event as some people falsely claim. Instead, what this update suggests is a gradual but strategically powerful move toward economic sovereignty. When the government begins stabilizing currency flow, reducing dollar leakages, and enforcing compliance with international exchange standards, the dinar starts to gain credibility. And credibility is the very foundation for future valuation changes. Analysts also highlight that Iraq's recent economic diversification strengthened foreign reserves, the growing comparison between oil production stability and the Vietnamese Dong expansion is not random. It comes from recognizable similarities in how both nations have been restructuring their financial frameworks to prepare for international market alignment. But while Vietnam's currency adjustments have slowly unfolded over the past decade, Iraq's movements appear compressed and more aggressive due to the accelerated push coming from the government, the central bank, and advisory bodies that now view 2025 as a realistic timeline for measurable currency appreciation. Investors who closely track global monetary reform know that whenever two emerging market currencies begin mirroring each other's stabilization patterns, global analysts start speculating on synchronized or regionally influenced adjustments. This is precisely what's happening right now. Iraq's new December 1st system is designed to unify exchange rate operations, reduce transaction inconsistencies, and move the dinar into a position where it can eventually reflect true economic output. One of the most important components of Iraq's shift is the integration of digital tracking in cross-border settlements, something Vietnam successfully executed to strengthen international trading confidence. Iraq is now adopting similar mechanisms, enabling foreign partners to process dinar-denominated transactions with greater trust and reduced risk. This may not sound dramatic on the surface, but for financial institutions, risk reduction is everything. When risk drops, valuation potential rises. And this is exactly why many global observers believe Iraq's decision to announce this system before the end of the year is not coincidental, but strategic. As Iraq improves compliance transparency, reduces dollar smuggling, supports forex stability, and increases digital traceability, the dinar slowly shifts toward becoming a more internationally acceptable currency. That acceptance is the foundation of any future rate change. But the real shocker is that some officials have subtly hinted that the December 1st rollout is only phase one of broader reforms expected throughout early 2025. These phases may include updated forex protocols, new trade settlement pathways, tighter border currency monitoring, and an expansion of partnerships with Gulf Cooperation Council states seeking more unified economic structures. When you combine these developments with Iraq's rising foreign reserves, one of the strongest in the region, the picture becomes even clearer. Iraq is building the infrastructure necessary for a long-term currency strengthening strategy. Not a sudden miracle spike, but a deliberate and credible climb, similar to the Vietnamese model. Another factor driving speculation is Iraq's intention to reduce dependency on the US dollar in regional trades. Countries that have made this shift historically experience a boost in local currency value because demand for their domestic currency increases. If Iraq executes this correctly, demand for the dinar will rise not only inside Iraq, but across international trading partners. This is why many believe the December 1st announcement is not about the date itself. It's about signaling the start of a new monetary identity for Iraq. The global currency market has taken notice. Economists across Europe, the Middle East, and Asia have begun publishing projection models suggesting that Iraq's reforms, if consistently implemented, could position the dinar for a Now, as Iraq approaches the December 1st implementation of its new currency system, the real question investors are asking is whether this marks the beginning of a multi-stage monetary transformation that leads to a revaluation window in 2025. To understand this, you must look at the depth of what Iraq is doing behind the scenes. Economic reforms aren't surface-level gestures. They involve structural change, long-term planning, and the coordination of multiple sectors. Iraq is currently aligning banking modernization with digital integration, trade policy restructuring, foreign reserve expansion, and currency flow regulation. Every one of these actions contributes to long-term currency strength. This isn't speculation, it's strategy. When a country strengthens internal controls, reduces corruption, and modernizes its financial tracking systems, investors feel safer. That safety increases demand for the local currency. Iraq's goal is clear: eliminate artificial pressure on the dinar, restore international confidence, and open pathways for future value adjustments grounded in economic fundamentals. And that's exactly why this December update feels different from past announcements. It isn't based on slogans or political promises. It's based on tangible financial infrastructure upgrades that are already in motion. For example, Iraq's new settlement system directly challenges the parallel market, which has been a major obstacle to currency stability for years. By reducing the influence of the black market, Iraq increases monetary transparency and pushes exchange rates closer to their true value. Another critical element is Iraq's effort to diversify its revenue streams beyond oil. While oil remains the backbone of the economy, the government has been aggressively expanding agreements in agriculture, technology, logistics, and energy partnerships with neighboring countries. Diversification reduces currency volatility, and less volatility leads to stronger valuation opportunities. But the potential 2025 window becomes most compelling when you look at Iraq's growing foreign reserves. With reserves at historically strong levels, the central bank has more flexibility to support the dinar during transitional phases. Stronger reserves equals stronger currency resilience, especially during reform cycles. Add to this Iraq's renewed collaboration with international banking networks, compliance institutions, and digital trade platforms, and you have a country positioning itself not for temporary fixes, but for long-term monetary elevation. This is why financial analysts are now taking Iraq's reform timeline seriously. They see what many investors are just beginning to understand. Iraq is methodically preparing the environment required for future rate increase, not through hype, but through policy. Whether the dinar revalues in 2025 will depend on how consistently these reforms continue, but the groundwork being laid right now is unlike anything Iraq has attempted in recent memory. And that brings us to you, the viewer. As global economic conditions shift and Iraq positions itself for one of its most significant monetary transitions in years, staying informed is no longer optional, it's essential. So, if you want to stay ahead of upcoming updates, new government announcements, banking confirmations, and supply and demand shifts that could determine